Welcome back, my Jedi friends. And in today's installment, we talk about how to navigate a toxic environment. A toxic environment, folks. I'm going to show you what to do. In fact, I'm just going to tell you straight, get out. There you go. Video done. Thank you very much. That's the optimum thing, folks. But there's some situations that you can't escape. It could be unexpected party. Somebody could have invited themselves around. Work is a very common one. And sometimes when things are breaking up at home, that can become very toxic as well. And with a couple of my friends in that situation of navigating toxicity, of the relationship breakdown, and maybe there's kids involved as well. Sometimes you'll find yourself in difficult situations and you're just going to have to deal with it as best you can. So, although plan A is get out of a toxic environment, folks, sometimes it's just not possible. It's not possible. You're there, you have to suck it up, you have to deal with people. So, we're going to talk today about those situations and what you can do. Now, with most of the content I talk about around this, it's very easy when I'm disconnected from situations to talk about it. But if you're plugged in to a situation or an environment where there's people that you've got pre-existing relationships with that could have started good, but probably got bad. And there's trigger points. We've all got trigger points. There's certain things that are likely to trigger you. And catching yourself when you're triggered is one of the hardest things that anyone has to do. I've been with friends recently and I've watched them trigger and they start doing stupid shit when they're triggered. And I'm like, please just stop, just stop. Wouldn't even listen to me. We had to have a conversation afterwards. I said, look, next time you ask me round to help you in a situation, you have to give me authority to take your phone away if you're not listening. Otherwise, I can't do it. So this talk about being the friend of somebody that's triggered in that environment as well. So here's a situation, and I'm definitely not naming any names. The person will know. So I have a friend in a situation now with a narcissistic partner and kids involved. And I don't even know where to begin talking about some of the behaviors. But I was there around the house and they were handing over kids. And he wanted me there just to witness what was happening because part of the narcissistic personality is to start making shit up, to making shit up. And that's not enough for this particularly narcissistic person. She's taken to fraudulent behavior now. Uh, she's been doing some very unethical things in the company, fraudulently using names to sign personal guarantees, but that's a completely separate subsection. You're dealing with someone with no accountability, no accountability. And there's staff, there's nannies on the payroll that she's now bullying into giving statements against her other half and now sending them in legal letters. So the bottom line is sometimes it seems like the world's against you because narcissists know what they're doing and they're clever. They're clever folks and they will trigger you. So sometimes they get you to react in ways that you wouldn't normally, and then they'll film you. They'll film it all and they'll present that as evidence against you folks. So the bottom line is that if you're in a situation like that, you're never going to get anywhere by compromising or being nice or trying to meet people halfway. Not until things are actually rolled out to conclusion. And in this case, it was the family law courts. Unfortunately, there was a sensible judge there that ruled that she was obviously trying to gaslight the situation and create stories that weren't even there. They didn't exist. And this is a thing, it's really important for empaths that you can get caught in situations like this when people gaslight you, when people start to change your reality around you, tell you that things isn't happening, tell you that your version of things is wrong, tell you that you're the one that's doing all the behaviors that they're doing. So these are trigger points, folks. And knowing when you're triggered is the key to all of this, being in toxic situations. If you're triggered, it's so difficult to self-diagnose really difficult to say, yes, I'm triggered now, and to detach. And that's so important. This is like a lifetime goal. If you can work towards this goal, folks, you're going to be in a better place. If you can feel that you're triggered in any situation rather than react there and then, it's always going to be better for you to disconnect and go back and address it later when you've got a lower emotional connection to it. So it's this simple, folks. If we've got emotion is here and logic is here, when emotion goes up, logic goes down. That's what happens. The higher emotional state that you're in, the lower the logic, which means that you're going to do stupid shit. And then when the logic goes up, emotion will go down. And you want to be in this high logic place, high logic. And the thing is, even if you go at it, especially with someone that's brilliant at narcissism, if you go, you're in a logical place with the narcissist, they'll have this whole range of weapons of how to trigger emotions, of how to reduce your logic, of how to trigger emotions, of how to get you into a higher emotional state. And a lot of that is just by lying to your face, gaslighting, denying your reality, telling you stuff that is wrong. Telling you stuff that you know is right is actually wrong. And this is how a lot of mental health breakdowns start, folks. We start listening to the wrong brand of arsehole. And that's the reality is that when you deal with certain personality traits, you're dealing with zero accountability. That they'll lie to your face with really great energy, with even double the energy. When you catch them red-handed, they will lie to your face. And if you get triggered then, if you start to doubt yourself, they win. It's the ultimate weapon of a narcissistic personality to deny you. So you can be caught in toxic situations. If you know that you're triggered, if you're feeling emotional, the best advice I can give you generally is to just catch yourself and work on your breathing. That's the first thing you can do. Hold your breath. Hold it for as long as you can. If you feel you're being triggered, this is how to physiologically start to reverse symptoms. But what you really want to do is get out. Don't respond, get out. Don't respond, get out. Here's the handbook for in a toxic environment where you're triggered. Hold your breath, get out. Shut up, get out. Shut up, get out. Shut up, hold your breath, get out. There's no better thing to do that than when you're triggered, folks, but catching yourself triggered, that's less easy. It's less easy. So catching yourself can be a lifelong journey because especially if you're in the wrong relationship, you've got a narcissistic boss or another narcissistic partner. Because what you're going to do is give them way too much authority, when in actual fact, treating them as the arsehole that they are is often the key. And part of that is if you need to lower yourself to their level, do it. Best response is no response. Just look at them, let them finish what they're saying, and then just walk away. Will drive a narcissist mad. And if you really want to get under their skin, if you want to trigger a narcissist, here's how to do it. Let them say whatever they're saying. Work on your breathing, slow down your breathing, and let them talk. And when they finish, just smile and walk away. And then walk away. It will drive them nuts. Because the narcissist's checkbook is to be able to trigger you. And if they think that you're not triggered, then it triggers them. It's the ultimate reversal, folks. It is linguistic jujitsu. In fact, it's non-linguistic jujitsu because you ain't going to say anything. You ain't going to say anything. You're just going to go. And if you really want to wind them up, if you do want to say something, say, is that it? And if they say yes, you smile, you go and you walk away. And if they say no, let them go for round two. Just let them talk and talk, 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 and wait until when you've asked them, is that it? Are you done? And then smile and walk away. This is how you mirror behavior to a narcissist. And they totally won't get it because now you'll be the unreasonable one. They won't see it that all you're doing is mirroring their behavior. Narcissists cannot see that. So these are just a few techniques, folks, just to take back your power, to take back your energy, to hold up a mirror to the person that is projecting the toxicity and fire it back at them. Fire it back at them, folks! Especially if you're triggered. Especially if you're triggered. Now, if you're not triggered, just simply call out the behavior. Somebody's coming at you, did this, blah, 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 and it's not true. You just say, no, I didn't. Don't justify it. Don't try and fill in the gaps. Just call out the behavior. No, I didn't. You, blah, 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 blah. No, I didn't. You did, blah, 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 blah. No, I didn't. And don't get caught in it. Just cause and effect. It will drive people nuts because the thing is, here's what you have to realize. If you're dealing with that sort of personality type, they're trying to trigger you. You not getting triggered will trigger them. And this is the insane thing. This is the insane sort of jujitsu thing of dealing with a narcissist. But the bottom line is, folks, if you're dealing with a narcissist, if you don't have kids involved and have to deal with these assholes for the rest of your life, then get the fuck out. There's no winning. You can match them, you can drive them crazy, but narcissists are vindictive. They're vindictive. It goes on and on and on and on. Get the fuck out. Get out, folks. Get out. That is the best way. But if you want to give them a little taste of their own medicine before you do that, that's how you do it, folks. That is how you do it. So there you go. That's dealing with toxic individuals. Now, we've gone into another narcissism video when we're talking about toxic rooms and toxic situations. It's often a narcissist that triggers that. And not only that, if they're doing it to multiple people and you call them out publicly, well, for a start, if they're your boss, then you better start looking for a new job. But secondly, you'll rally the troops. If people see you taking them head on, then you'll give people the playbook for them to do it themselves. Now, I can tell you for certain that there's some times where people will just run and hide. They'll pat you on the back and they'll run and hide. And this goes back to my nursing days. I used to call out terrible behavior. In fact, I used to be the nicey person, but by the time I left the NHS, I was the person they used to send. They used to send the porters to the ward I worked in to see if I was working, the A&E staff. That's how how revered I was in circles because they knew the A&E staff, the accident emergency staff, they knew they wouldn't get away with any bullshit when I was on the admissions ward. I hung everybody out to dry with their own bullshit, folks. Because what I would do is document things or inform people and cover my arse. But it wasn't about covering my arse. It wasn't about getting them in trouble. It was about doing what was best for the patient. And that's what fired up me, somebody with high empathy, to actually take action. It wasn't because they pissed me off. It's because they were putting lives in danger that I was holding them to a higher degree of accountability. For those of you that know, when I worked in a hospital setting, when I was in the UK, I even went and I did a 6-month stint in the accident and emergency department so I could see firsthand what they were dealing with as well and build personal relationships with a few of the players in there. So when they tried to fob me off or give me a load of bullshit, it just did not work, folks. Now, you can be that superhero fighting fire with fire, but ultimately, if you're dealing with arseholes every day, it will take its toll eventually, folks. It doesn't matter how resilient you think you are. If you're always fighting fires, if you're always putting yourself in a potentially toxic environment, it will take its toll. So, plan A, dealing with toxic environments. Get out, folks. Get out. There's no substitute for that. But if you're stuck in them, know this jujitsu thing. There's probably a narcissist involved, and you deal with narcissists practically and by not reacting to their bullshit behavior. And if you want to give them a taste of their own medicine, which is a double-edged sword, folks, it really is. It really is a double-edged sword. I can tell you lots of different stories of how I straightened out narcissists, but there's always a kickback. There's always a backlash, always a backlash. And when I did it in the NHS, it was the patients that suffered, not me. It was my patients that suffered because the next time I needed a doctor, they'd give it an extra hour before they came up, even though I knew they weren't busy. And I knew they weren't busy because the porters were my friend and they would report to me. But even knowing all of these things, it was still ultimately my patients suffered because I gave the doctors a verbal black eye when they tried to fuck with me, folks, to fuck with me. They didn't do that very often. So become a little bit prickly, folks. That is the whole point. You could be the nicest person in the room, but you also need that don't fuck with me aura about you. Otherwise, guess what, folks? People are going to fuck with you. They're going to fuck with you if you're an easy target. And there you go, folks. So this is me talking about toxic environments, but we're right back at the core dealing with narcissism because narcissists usually create toxic environments. And having too many of them means that you're going to have to take one of them square on. And this is like honey badgers walking through the pride of lions just to let them know nobody fucks with them and they ain't scared. Sometimes you have to flex your muscles occasionally and let folks know that you ain't to be fucked with, folks. You ain't to be fucked with. And that's what it's really all about. And not only that, from a well-being point of view, you'll feel better when you take on bullies. I wouldn't recommend making a habit of it because it does take its toll, folks. But that is ultimately the guide. Know when you're triggered. That is the superhero strength right at the core of this. If you know when you're triggered and you can walk away, that is where it begins. And that's a skill that I recommend you evolve before we even do any of the other stuff that I'm talking about in this video. Know when you're triggered. Give friends or colleagues around you permission to tell you when you're triggered and that you need to walk away. Get as much help as you can from people you trust to have your back. And if those people come and say to you, you're triggered, walk away, you've got to listen to them. You've got to listen to them, folks. If you give them permission to point this out, you've got to listen to them and walk away. So, my Jedi friends, this is way easier said than done. I'm simply planting seeds for you here. Hopefully, it will help you in your quest because you will take no nonsense from these arseholes that find themselves in toxic environments, and you will be aware of the techniques that they'll use against you. So, my Jedi friends, if you're catching me for the first time, if this is new to you and you want more pieces of the jigsaw, then do like and subscribe to the channel because you'll get more pieces. Speaking of which, there's another one there. So go and flex your muscles. Be nice, but be brutal as well, especially when you're dealing with arseholes.